Hi everyone, and thanks for joining our webinar today, JDE World, Where to Go From Here. My name's Laurel, and I'm very pleased to be joined today by Trillium Vice President Chris Garrity. He's going to walk us through a brief presentation and through the webinar today. Quick reminder before we get started how you can participate in today's webinar. You should see something that looks like this on your screen. Please go ahead and send in any and all questions through the questions panel, and we'll make sure to address those at the end. Very quick 60-second intro to Trillium if you're not familiar with us. We are an award-winning Oracle Platinum partner, and we have over 170 full-time employees across the United States. We've helped more than 700 businesses with Oracle ERP projects across many industries. And our team has over 20 years of experience consulting and advising businesses running JDE Edwards. We help with upgrades, managed services, migrations, special projects, including cloud projects. Over the past years, we've also built up cloud ERP practices and have developed expertise across Oracle ERP options, including JDE Edwards, Oracle ERP Cloud, and NetSuite. I'm very happy to introduce our presenter today, Chris Garrity. Chris has 25 years of experience with ERP implementations. Prior to his 11-year career at Trillium, Chris was a senior manager at Deloitte Consulting and also worked as a project manager at JDE World before the ERP software was acquired by Oracle. Chris has a Bachelor of Science from the University of California, Los Angeles, and has many professional certifications and has spoken at several conferences, including Oracle Open World, Apex World Conference, and numerous user group events. Welcome to the webinar, Chris.
Well, thank you, Laura. I appreciate that introduction. Thank you very much. I think we should just jump right in. You ready?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So, well, thank you, everyone, for attending. I certainly appreciate you spending your time with us this afternoon. Briefly, here's our agenda that we put together for today's webinar. And, you know, I think the simplest way to sum this up is what we've done here is we've tried to take some of the lessons that we've learned working with clients, and we try to consolidate it here into a brief presentation for you, maybe get you a flavor for what we're seeing in the marketplace. It's very interesting because in the last couple of years, we have seen a tremendous uptick in the number of JDE World clients that are interested in looking at alternatives to the World product. And so our discussion today is some of those early discussions and what we often include in those discussions, and we thought it would be useful for you to see that as you might be looking to modernize your ERP solution. The elephant in the room when we come to talking about modernizing our ERPs is really cloud. And I apologize if this slide is familiar to all of you, but generally speaking, one of the first things we have to discuss with our JDE World counterparts in the client base is there's basically cloud can mean a bunch of different things. And what we've done is, this is one way of looking at it. I'm sure there's others, but this is a useful way of thinking about cloud and cloud technology, because it looms so large over what's going on with modern ERPs right now. So the first piece of this, and the top piece, the layer that we mostly think about, is the software as a service, the application layer. And, you know, I think we can all are familiar with Salesforce.com and their position in the market, probably one of the first, you know, massively successful software as a service offerings. And, but of course, all the new modern ERPs are basically software as a service offerings. And you know, NetSuite is a Oracle product that is also software as a service, as is ERP Cloud is software as a service. So there are ERP offerings that are strictly SaaS based, And we'll talk about those just in a little bit more, but there's a lot of products out there that are SaaS-based. And I think the simplest way to think about what does that mean, software as a service means you're renting your software instead of buying it. That's probably the simplest way to think about it. There's, of course, a lot of nuance that goes into that over time as you get more details, but that's kind of to start off the discussion. That's where we want to focus. So we're renting software instead of buying it, and there are cost advantages to that. PaaS layer, again, this is very much Oracle kind of language, but it's good, useful languages. There's ways to purchase as a service certain PaaS layer or infrastructure layer kinds of applications, development tools, workflow tools, configuration tools. That can also be done, not normally talked about outside of talking about SaaS layer, but that's another layer within the cloud architecture. And then probably the one that all of you have some experience with, or at least have heard the most about, is infrastructure as a service. And this is overwhelmingly where we see cloud services right now. The vast majority of cloud services that we see are infrastructure as a services. So basically taking the ERP system outside of a data center that you have on premise and moving it to another environment. Now, hosting of many different ilks might be called cloud infrastructure as a service, but you know, that can be, there's different flavors of that. But the main thing is that people are moving away from having their own data centers. And we're going to talk a little bit about why that is. And that's really where most of the cloud sales that we see are going on. It's important, though, to keep in mind when we talk about infrastructure as a service is, do you really want to have somebody who just provides you the hardware and the infrastructure software, or do you want somebody who actually understands what's going on in the SaaS layer and the PaaS layer of your total ERP infrastructure? And it's important that you think about that as a distinction between all of the different cloud providers. Now, some of you may be real familiar with cloud, and I apologize if that was old information, but we think it's important because, you know, as this slide shows, cloud is happening, and it's happening now. You know, if you don't know somebody who's been getting involved in the cloud, you know, that's surprising to me, because we see everybody and every conversation we have has to include some component of cloud. That's what people are interested in talking to us about. Now, whether they're looking at just an infrastructure as a service layer, or they're looking to take the entire ERP stack and moving it, the cloud always comes up in the conversations. And you'll see that's a part of pretty much everything we talk about here for the rest of this discussion. Now, having said that, technology is new, but, you know, the ERP roadmap really hasn't changed in the sense of why would people move forward. People move forward for really the same reasons they've always upgraded, the reasons people have always made changes in ERP systems, and you see some of the criteria here. You know, don't want to say that JDE Edwards World isn't good enough, because obviously it is. JDE Edwards World is a product that you're running your businesses on, and you're successful doing that. But I would say that with the modern ERP tools, working it in World is probably harder than it needs to be. And what we're asking you to consider here is maybe there's a better way of going about getting what done, what you need to get done. I don't want to go through each of these, but I will give you an example here. For example, when it comes to accessing information, you know, we're not just talking about better displays. Certainly we do have better displays. We have graphical displays. We have better access to information. But the other thing to consider here is all of the modern ERP systems allow you to view data on any number of devices. As long as you've got some kind of a browser capability, you're going to be able to look at that, your information, your ERP information. You can look at it on a PC, of course, but also on a tablet, also on your phone. We can push information to your phone. We can push information to your tablet. Very important in this modern age that people can get to their information from any kind of a device. Also, what you should think about is real-time data updates. And we're talking about being able to pull information off of your shop floor or out of your warehouse, things that you might have to run in batch now and have a delay of getting the data updated. we have tools and the ability now through enhanced infrastructure to do a better job, more timely job of getting that information populated. Another aspect of this is more modern IT tools. And I just want to mention that because, you know, the development environment, I date myself here. I'm an old Fortran programmer. That's where I started in the IT world. So for those of you who might know who Fortran is, you know, we're dinosaurs. You know, it's Java and C. That's where things are at. Or it's the third-party tools like Oracle's Integration Cloud services, or the JDE World AIS and ADF servers. Real-time integration through web services, that's the gold standard now. And those tools are really tough to implement in a world environment. It puts you a little bit at risk of being able to access the kinds of tools and information that you need, because a lot of it is being put out there as a cloud service, and you need to be able to access it. So this is kind of general criteria, but as a point of reference here, Jeff Carr wrote a paper recently, and he talked about, you know, some of the things that he sees as common reasons for people moving to new systems. And I think you'll see that while the words are different, we're basically talking about the same things, right? Same kind of issues that we've always had to address in ERP systems. You know, it's not a unique problem. And the cloud opportunity makes it more cost effective for us and gives us a better access to tools and information than we have in other without those kinds of tools. I will also mention that maintain business continuity with an aging workforce at the bottom of the slide. One of the reasons we think that we see a lot of people moving away from World is simply that it is very hard for an IT group to continue to retain and grow RPG programmers. It's just difficult to do. The computer science students of today, they want to work on modern tools, and it's hard to train up somebody coming out of school on RPG. They want to work on something different, and it's for some of our clients, it's actually a business risk that they've had to address, and that's one of the reasons they're moving to different software and moving away from World. Maybe just another way of saying this is that, again, modern ERP is the sweet spot now in the industry, and I think it's something that you probably want to take a look at. If you haven't seen the new modern interfaces, user interfaces, they are amazing. I mean, nothing like what we had either in World or E1 in recent years. Real-time processing, I kind of hit on that. Digital device monitoring, the Internet of Things capabilities, that's also here. And, you know, I don't want to treat this as pie in the sky, but my last bullet point here is machine learning. Machine learning is becoming a reality. And the way you're going to see that in your ERP applications is you're going to see, we're going to be able to basically give voice commands, and it's going to interpret our voice commands, and we're going to operate our ERP vocally. You know, I mean, we're talking Star Trek stuff here now. And you know, I'm not going to tell you that I know when this is going to come for sure. I know Oracle is actively working on it and integrating it into their products now. I predict certainly within the next 5 years, probably sooner, we will start to see voice command use of ERP systems. That's where things are moving, and the pace that things are moving at is really amazing. So I think there's lots of compelling reasons for these modern ERP systems. And you know, it's always been about making the users more productive. And while that's really obviously the end game of why we have our systems, there's a challenge with that. It's very hard to quantify the value of better access to data or those kinds of user usability kinds of measures. But here's some information from a survey that Oracle did of some of their customers, why they moved to the cloud. And while the user productivity is hard to measure, one thing that isn't is cost or cost avoidance. And that's one of the key reasons people are moving to the cloud as well. So while we have user productivity in modern ERP systems, a lot of advantages for making the business run smoother, we can also, in modern ERPs, reduce the costs that are associated with delivering that modern ERP solution. Very much a win-win. And I got to tell you, across really all three of the ERP solutions that Oracle is currently marketing, all of them can do both deliver better user productivity while reducing your total cost of ownership. And the first one is probably the one that most of you are interested in. Probably the one that you're closest to is JDE Edwards Enterprise One. The current release is 9.2. And I just have to say, if you haven't seen Enterprise One recently, you need to see this new 9.2 product. The user interface is really just amazing. And, you know, as one client put it to me, this isn't your mama's Enterprise One. It is a completely different beast. The interface looks completely different. And I've got some examples of the interface here. The one in the bottom corner there, that's a bill of material broken out by level with content on each of the components. A great graphical display, a great way for people to see information that we never used to be able to have. We also have the scheduling app, which is right next to it, and then some of the graphics that you can see on the top slide there. JDE Edwards has really come a long way. And now, while most of us might think of Enterprise One as running on-prem, which of course it can run on-premise, that's not a problem. It's also been hosted, and it also can run in the cloud. Not a problem. We have clients right now that are using the Oracle Cloud as the host for their Enterprise One environments. So at the infrastructure as a service level, we can do that. And JDE Edwards is just one of the systems that we have that we can cloudize, if you'll allow me to say it that way. But much like it is the Oracle NetSuite. Now, some of you, I suppose most of you, are probably aware that Oracle acquired NetSuite in 2016, and while it's a separate business unit, it is within the Oracle fold, and Trillium has started a NetSuite practice with that Oracle acquisition. Now, NetSuite cannot run on-prem. It can only run in the cloud, but it is a strong product that has core distribution business functions. If e-commerce is important to you, if you do a lot of transactions, B2B or B2C, on a website, then NetSuite is very attractive for that as well. And as you can see in the graphics, the pictures on the side, as with Enterprise One, as with ERP Cloud, you can run this application on your phone, on your tablet, and on a PC, all three. And Oracle continues to invest. They continue to expand the functionality of NetSuite. And right now they're kind of positioning it for those companies that are under 200 million. The functionality in many respects is significant that you could use it across much larger entities than maybe the $200 million barrier. So great product. And we just had a client go live on NetSuite just last month. It's seeing a lot of success. And then the third product that Oracle has, the flagship product for Oracle, is ERP Cloud. It's currently on release 13. What Oracle has done with this product is Oracle's bought up a lot of different products. The Siebel was one of them. JDE Edwards, PeopleSoft, the e-business suite product they developed internally. They've tried to take the best functionality from all of their products and integrated them into the ERP Cloud product. And R13 current release, again, only available through as software as a service, runs on the Oracle Cloud, and we have found that we have a number of clients that are using the project management capabilities. Basically, they provide services for projects for their customers, and we have found a lot of success with project management. It also has a decidedly more advanced product lifecycle management capability than the other two products. But it is continuing to grow out. Again, R13, it's the 13th release is what we're currently on. About every 6 months, new functionality is being introduced into this product. And they are continuing to add breadth to it. They're continuing to add depth to it. And they are building out industry-specific capabilities. And you should probably, take a look at what ERP Cloud can offer you for your industry. I think you'll be surprised at all of the work that's going into the ERP Cloud. Oracle making tremendous research and development expenses to improve that product, make it more and more robust. Now, at Trillium, we have clients implementing all three products: Enterprise One, NetSuite, and ERP Cloud. I personally have clients right now that are implementing ERP Cloud as well as JDE Edwards. I have clients that are upgrading from World to Enterprise One. So this is active work that is going on across all of Trillium. And like I said earlier, we've seen a real big uptick in the number of World clients who are interested in looking at some of these new products. And so we've built a methodology based on our experience that we feel helps clients on World migrate up. It's something that we've done for a long time, but we're seeing so much more volume of it that we formalized our methodology. And while no two companies are alike and no two companies are starting from the same place, we built this methodology to be very flexible so that we can take you where you are and move you where you want to go. And when I mean flexible, I mean we recognize that not everybody is necessarily ready to go full hog, software as a service, PaaS as a service, infrastructure as a service. They don't want to do the whole thing. They maybe want to dip their toe into the cloud waters, so to speak. And frankly, there are options for that, and our methodology speaks to that. Here's just a couple of examples. I don't necessarily want to go over every one of them, but one of the things we're seeing a lot of right now is clients that are looking at particular modules of the Oracle ERP Cloud, and they are buying those modules and integrating them in to their current ERP solution. We see this with PBCS. We see this with Oracle Purchasing Cloud. We see it with the talent management or the Taleo, the recruitment product from Oracle. There are particular modules that they see reasons to implement based in the cloud, but integrated into their standing ERP solution. That's certainly a possibility. But again, what we see the most of is people looking to deploy their existing solutions in the infrastructure as a service layer and keeping their existing applications. And that's a tremendous value prop for a number of our clients. A couple of good examples of that, which I think are really interesting, is, and I think this has just been a great boon, and I'm surprised more people aren't doing it. One of the things we're talking to people about is if you need a disaster recovery site, why not make that disaster recovery site, stand that up on Oracle Cloud Infrastructure as a Service? Because it can be, physically located far away from, your current data center. We can replicate everything over there, and it provides you an ability to keep that disaster recovery site up with minimal amount of effort on your team's part. Let Oracle keep that infrastructure running, and you can have a hot cutover to your site at any time. And that's one application of moving to infrastructure as a service. Another is project-based development. We've got people that maybe want to spin up a development environment. They don't want to put it in their existing data center, and they dip their toe into the cloud, and they wind up bringing up a development environment on Oracle infrastructure, and that gives them an opportunity to get used to how that all works. And my last example here is that secured in-house cloud solution. Keep in mind that Oracle is very flexible, and Oracle is working hard to leverage the cloud technology that they have. And one of the things they've done, which I think it's an outlier for most of us on this call, but just to give you a flavor for the kinds of things that can be done, Oracle can actually take one of their servers, plant it at your facility, and they can manage it remotely for you as if it was in one of their own data centers. Now, why would you do that? Well, it's very unusual, but there are certain people who work in Department of Defense industries or other industries where they feel like it's essential that the server be secured within their firewall. If that were the case, okay, but that's an offering that Oracle has for those clients who have those kinds of needs. And I think it just speaks to the kind of flexibility and the kind of opportunities that you can find in the cloud that maybe you weren't expecting. So whatever challenge you're facing, whatever you're trying to accomplish, it's worth having a conversation and worth considering some of these cloud options to achieve your goals with. And we see a whole lot of people moving to that infrastructure as a service layer. And the simple truth is why? Why are they doing that? Because it saves money. That it's a big bang for the buck kind of solution. And I think it's very important that you think about, they build these massive data centers. They've got dedicated resources. Now, I know your resources are probably dedicated as well, but you know what? They probably have 11 jobs instead of having an expert who has one. And that's the advantage that they have. And they can reduce the cost of running your system simply because of the way the whole thing has been architected. And as an example, I'll use one of the objections we hear from people about going to the cloud or going to cloud infrastructure is they're worried about security. And of course, all of us are worried about security. Of course we are. But data point that I received a couple of months back, over 75% of all data breaches that are being experienced on ERP cloud systems, there was an available patch available that was not deployed on the environment, and that allowed the breach. Now, why did that happen? Why was there a patch available and it wasn't deployed? And it's not because somebody didn't do their job. The problem probably was they either weren't aware of the patch, which is a very real possibility, or they were aware of the patch, but again, they're one of those people who have 11 jobs to do. And if you've got 11 jobs to do and the security patch was your 11th task of the day, maybe you didn't get to it. And that's just one example of why it makes sense to consider infrastructure as a service and why people are moving to the cloud, besides the cost savings. So I think if you go and do some work, if you get in touch with Oracle and talk to them about what they can accomplish for you, you'll see very quickly that there's some very real cost savings that you can provide, and that alone can justify moving up to a modern ERP solution. Now, the cost savings are yours, absolutely. But again, as we kind of already hit on, there are limitations in your current systems, and there are opportunities that can be addressed, and certainly you could solve them in World. Of course you could. But you might find it a whole lot easier, a whole lot quicker to accomplish those same things with either a full ERP replacement or augmenting your existing environment with cloud-based products. Just do this, if you haven't already done it. If you take your existing applications, all of them, everything, your ERP plus everything hanging off of your ERP, and you make a diagram of it, and you draw lines between systems, and you document all of your interfaces graphically that way. Some of you, I'm sure, have a very complicated application interface map. And one of the things we're seeing a lot of people do is simplify that map dramatically, because the more capabilities we have in the modern ERP solutions, the less bolt-ons we have to have. the less third-party apps we have to have. You know, great example, ERP Cloud. ERP Cloud has built into it the ability to calculate your taxes. Now, not a huge problem, a problem we solved in World, a problem we solved in E1 a long time ago with third-party products. That works. But now you don't have to have that third-party product anymore. That's the kind of payoff, that opportunity that we can solve. The other thing I think to look at is I'm sure some of you have enhancements in your environment. Of course you do, right? Especially if you've been on World for a while, I'm sure there's reasons that you wanted to enhance that system, and I'm sure there's enhancements that you've done. But again, with these modern development tools, customizations, if they're even necessary, and we do find that we're eliminating a lot of customizations when we do these upgrades to a more modern ERP. But even if you do have to have customizations, we're able to execute those customizations and deliver them much more quickly with the new tools. They're that much better. So what we recommend is that you take a good hard look at some of these Oracle ERP offerings. You know, there's a plethora of information out on the web, but even if you don't want to do that, you can talk to Oracle, you can talk to Trillium. We're more than willing to talk to you about the kinds of problems you're trying to solve in your environment and what we might be able to do to improve that environment. Again, a lot of customizations that you currently have probably can be eliminated in one of these modern ERPs. We can probably eliminate bolt-on applications and the custom interfaces that you've had to build and prevent that kind of effort to keep those current. These products, again, Oracle has moved to a sort of a continuous delivery process for all of the applications, including Enterprise One. So about every 6 months, they're bringing out new capabilities in these products, and they are ever expanding. And it's a little hard to keep up with, to be honest, but one of the things we do, and one of the reasons a conversation with Trillium might be useful to you, is we keep up on what's going on and what's in the latest releases. And we can help you understand that if that's something you're interested in. So if you think that moving to a modern ERP would be useful to you, one of the things we wanted to offer at the end of this is we can come in and work with you and do an ERP Opportunity Assessment. We can look at your existing systems, applications, and the infrastructure, and we can look at where there's opportunities to make improvements. We can calculate total cost of ownership and where we might be able to save your company money. You know, if you look at the diagram over on the side of the bullet points, this is just an example where we looked at Enterprise One and ERP Cloud for a customer, and we basically tried to map their requirements into those two systems. So we know World, and we can compare World to E1, NetSuite, or ERP Cloud, as well as we can compare your options if you've decided already that you're moving to a modern ERP. We're very well versed across all of these products, and we're here to help. And I'll let you know that an assessment is something that would require about a half day of your time, and that's something that we will do at no cost, because we would like to see the opportunity to see you move on to these modern ERP applications. It's lots of opportunity. And this is something that again, we see a lot of other people doing, and we thought maybe you should attend this webinar. We wanted to offer it to you so that if it piques your interest, please let us know. We'll come in and do an assessment, and we'll see where the opportunities lie for you. Also want to mention here that Trillium continues to make investments in not just the assessments and figuring out where the opportunity lies, but also in the actual implementation. You know, moving from World to E1, Oracle has built some tremendous tools to do that. And we're mimicking some of those same tools, particularly in the data conversion arena, where we make it easy for you to get from World to NetSuite or World to ERP Cloud as well. And that's the kind of thing that you know, the opportunities that haven't existed in the past that exist now. And, you know, from our perspective, you know, you're going to be in the cloud. Not sure when, not sure if it's just an infrastructure as a service or you're going to be your whole ERP stack, but we think this is going to happen very soon. We see a lot of activity right now, and we think that the cost alone is going to drive a lot of people to go in that direction. And it's already started, and while I wouldn't say it's a stampede to the cloud, it's much more than a trickle. And if you're interested, we're interested in talking to you. So with that, I'll stop right there, and Laura will come back on, and if we have any questions, I'm prepared to answer them.
Okay, great. Yeah, thank you, Chris. Thank you for all that information. A lot of good information there. We do have a few questions, and then just a reminder, everybody who's on, please go ahead and send in any other questions you might have in the next couple of minutes. So first question, do any of the three products offer a good way to handle real-time pricing? We sell fuel, so our cost from our suppliers changes minute by minute.
Minute by minute, okay. Well, I'll tell you what, I do real-time integration as a general rule is certainly easier with web services. So I would say that the opportunity exists technologically wise. That's easier. Now the question would be, how can you get that information? Does your supplier provide you? Do they have web services that provides you to consume new pricing as it's coming out? If that were the case, then absolutely yes, that's something that you could do. So the pipes are certainly laid by Oracle to make that happen. The question is, does the vendor provide you with that information in a web service you can consume?
Okay. All right. Great. Yeah. Maybe we'll make sure to follow up with you, the person who asked that. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about it. Okay. Second question, Chris. So let me see if I'm reading this right. What is the difference in time frame for a migration to E1 versus ERP Cloud?
Okay. Well, I think you understand that's a little hard to answer. The change management aspects of moving from World to E1 are decidedly less. That's just true. The data structures that you're used to, the business processes that you're used to, a lot of them can be executed with very little change, and that's advantageous from a change management point of view. So if that's a big element of what drives your timeline, then I think we can say that ERP1 might be faster. But fundamentally, moving from one product to the other, once you get over that initial learning curve, it's pretty much the same. Some things, again, can be done faster. Integrations can be developed faster on the ERP Cloud arena, again, depending on who you're integrating to and what that product looks like. Obviously, an ERP Cloud, if we're talking about other cloud services, then it's going to be easier to integrate those into ERP Cloud than really any other product. One of the things I recently saw, if you guys are involved at all with health and safety and those kinds of concerns, there is now a firm out there that has cloud services that keeps up to date on all of the forms you have to fill out to keep regulatory people happy. And they do these forms, and basically you can consume their forms as a web service as long as you provide the content. It'll marry the two, and then they worry about the transport of that to the regulatory body. And what's neat about that in particular is, of course, that might not make sense if you're talking 3 or 4 forms here in the US, but if you're a global entity and you have these kinds of forms you have to fill out in multiple countries, we all know that forms probably take way too long. That's just true. So they're taking that burden away, and that's something that in an ERP Cloud environment would be very easy to consume. Grab those forms and populate them without ever having to worry about form updates as they occur by the regulatory entity, versus doing it in another environment. So the particulars matter here. So there are some instances where I think ERP would, Enterprise One would be faster, in some instances ERP Cloud would be faster. So I think we have to look at the particulars of your situation to be able to answer that.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, that makes sense, Chris. Thank you for that. Last question, which I think you already addressed, so I'll just repeat it so we can make sure everybody heard it. Is there a cost for the assessment? Which the answer was no. So just a reminder, there's no cost for that.
Yeah, and you know, we're interested in talking to our world prospects and customers and trying to help them make this transition. You know, it's you all got real jobs. We know that, and you got to keep your existing systems going. And there's a lot of new information and an awful lot that's changing. And you know, one of the things, we're consultants. We thrive on change, and we are current on what's going on in the environment. And we would like to at least have a conversation with you. And again, you need to be able to offer us half a day of some people's time, and we'll come in and have a conversation with you and help you get better ready to consider modern ERP solutions.
Okay, great. Well, yeah, thank you again, Chris. That's all the questions we have today, but thanks again for all the information, and thank you very much, everyone who joined us this afternoon.
Yeah, thank you, everyone. I appreciate your time. Thank you. I know you're all busy. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Have a great day.